There exists a form of brilliance that lives in the shadows. You cannot learn it from textbooks or professors. Society refuses to acknowledge it exists. Yet when someone possesses it, the atmosphere shifts. The temperature drops. People sense something they cannot name but instinctively respect.
This is shadow intelligence.
The kind that turns ordinary minds into architects of influence. The kind that makes silence more powerful than screaming. The kind that builds empires while others are still learning the alphabet of power. If you have ever felt like you see patterns others miss, like you understand the game while everyone else fumbles with the pieces, then you are already halfway there. This video will complete your transformation. Because once you master shadow intelligence, you will never need to announce your arrival.
Your presence will do it for you.
They keep you distracted with surface-level thinking. They tell you intelligence is about grades, degrees, and memorizing facts. But that is performance intelligence. Shadow intelligence is something entirely different. It begins with a simple realization. Most people are not thinking. They are reacting. They wake up each day and let their emotions choose their actions. They speak when they should listen. They trust when they should verify. They reveal when they should conceal. You, however, have started to notice something disturbing. The world operates on predictable patterns. People follow scripts they do not even realize they are reading from. When someone gets angry, you can predict their next 3 moves. When someone tries to manipulate you, you can see the strategy before they finish their first sentence. This is not cynicism.
This is pattern recognition.
And pattern recognition is the foundation of shadow intelligence. You begin to understand that information is currency. But not just any information.
Strategic information.
The kind that reveals motivation, fear, desire, and weakness. You learn to ask questions that sound innocent but cut straight to the psychological core. You discover that people will tell you everything if you simply remain quiet long enough. Silence becomes your most powerful tool because it makes others uncomfortable enough to fill the void with truth.
You stop volunteering information about yourself.
You stop explaining your decisions to people who have not earned that level of access. You become selectively transparent, revealing just enough to maintain relationships but never enough to become predictable. This shift changes everything. You are no longer participating in conversations. You are conducting them. The transformation accelerates when you realize that most people are driven by 3 basic needs. They want to feel important. They want to feel understood. They want to feel safe. Once you understand this, human behavior becomes remarkably simple to navigate. You do not manipulate these needs. You acknowledge them strategically. You make people feel seen without becoming emotionally invested in their drama. You validate their concerns without adopting their problems. You offer comfort without becoming their solution. This creates a strange psychological effect. People begin to associate you with positive feelings, but they cannot quite explain why. You become memorable without being obvious, influential without being aggressive, powerful without being threatening. Your emotional landscape begins to change. You still feel everything, but you process it differently. Anger becomes data about boundary violations. Sadness becomes information about what you truly value. Fear becomes a warning system about potential threats. You do not suppress emotions.
You analyze them.
This analytical approach extends to how you view other people's emotional displays. When someone explodes in anger, you see insecurity. When someone brags excessively, you see inadequacy.
When someone betrays trust, you see desperation.
You stop taking things personally because you understand that people's actions reveal more about them than about you. This emotional detachment is not coldness. It is clarity. And clarity is power. You discover that most conflicts are unnecessary. They arise from ego, misunderstanding, or the need to be right. You learn to sidestep these traps entirely. When someone tries to provoke you, you respond with curiosity instead of defensiveness. When someone attempts to drag you into drama, you observe from a distance instead of diving in. When someone demands an immediate reaction, you offer thoughtful delay instead of impulsive response. This approach frustrates people who are used to controlling others through emotional manipulation. But it also earns you a reputation for being unusually composed under pressure. People begin to seek your perspective precisely because you do not react like everyone else. The real breakthrough comes when you understand the difference between being liked and being respected. Most people exhaust themselves trying to be likable. They say yes when they mean no. They laugh at jokes that are not funny. They agree with opinions they do not share. All in service of being accepted.
You take a different path.
You become selectively available. Your time becomes valuable because you do not give it away freely. Your approval becomes meaningful because you do not distribute it carelessly. Your attention becomes powerful because you do not scatter it randomly. People notice this shift. They may not like it initially, but they respect it eventually. And respect, unlike approval, cannot be withdrawn on someone else's whim. You begin to see social situations as strategic environments rather than casual encounters. Every gathering becomes an opportunity to observe power dynamics. Every conversation becomes a chance to gather intelligence. Every conflict becomes a lesson in human psychology. You are not being calculating in a malicious sense. You are being purposeful. You understand that awareness is survival. Naivety is luxury you can no longer afford. This heightened awareness allows you to spot deception before it fully forms. You can sense when someone is withholding information. You can feel when someone is testing your boundaries. You can predict when someone is about to make a move against your interests. This is not paranoia. This is preparation. Your communication style evolves dramatically. You speak less but with greater impact. Every word carries weight because you have eliminated filler language. You ask more questions than you answer. You listen more than you speak. When you do offer opinions, they are measured and precise. You never argue to win points. You engage to understand positions. You never defend yourself against accusations that are obviously false.
You let your actions speak louder than your explanations.
This communication approach creates an aura of mystery around you. People are never quite sure what you are thinking, which makes them more careful about how they interact with you.
Mystery is magnetic.
Predictability is forgettable. You realize that most people reveal their intentions too early. They announce their plans before they have secured their position. They share their strategies with people who might use that information against them. They trust too quickly and too completely. You adopt a different approach.
You keep your cards close.
You reveal your hand only when it is time to collect your winnings. This is not paranoia. This is preparation. Your communication style evolves dramatically. You speak less but with greater impact. Every word carries weight because you have eliminated filler language. You ask more questions than you answer. You listen more than you speak. When you do offer opinions, they are measured and precise. You never argue to win points. You engage to understand positions. You never defend yourself against accusations that are obviously false.
You let your actions speak louder than your explanations.
This communication approach creates an aura of mystery around you. People are never quite sure what you are thinking, which makes them more careful about how they interact with you.
Mystery is magnetic.
Predictability is forgettable. You realize that most people reveal their intentions too early. They announce their plans before they have secured their position. They share their strategies with people who might use that information against them. They trust too quickly and too completely. You adopt a different approach.
You keep your cards close.
You reveal your hand only when it is time to collect your winnings. You build multiple contingency plans before making any significant move. You test people's loyalty in small ways before trusting them with larger responsibilities. This is not paranoia.
This is strategic thinking. And strategic thinking is what separates shadow intelligence from ordinary cleverness.
Your relationship with power begins to shift. You stop seeking it through traditional channels. You do not need titles, positions, or public recognition. Instead, you build influence through competence, reliability, and strategic positioning. You become indispensable by solving problems that others cannot or will not address. You become influential by having access to information that others need. You become powerful by being the person others turn to when they need real results rather than empty promises. This type of power is more sustainable than positional authority because it cannot be taken away by organizational changes or political shifts. It belongs to you because you earned it through demonstrated value. The shadow intelligence mindset changes how you handle conflict entirely. You do not engage in public battles or dramatic confrontations. Instead, you document everything. You let people reveal their character through their actions. You give them enough rope to create their own consequences. When someone crosses you, you do not seek immediate revenge. You simply adjust your relationship with them accordingly. You reduce their access to you, your resources, and your support. You become less available, less helpful, less invested in their success. This withdrawal is often more devastating than any direct attack because it removes their ability to benefit from your presence without creating obvious drama they can point to as justification for their behavior. You understand that information asymmetry is one of the most powerful advantages you can cultivate. You know more about other people's situations than they know about yours. You understand their motivations while keeping your own objectives private. You see their weaknesses while concealing your own vulnerabilities. This is not about being deceptive. It is about being strategic with transparency. You share what benefits you to share. You conceal what serves you to conceal. You become comfortable with being misunderstood because you know that understanding is not required for respect. And respect is more valuable than comprehension. Your decision-making process becomes remarkably efficient. You stop agonizing over choices that do not significantly impact your long-term objectives. You stop seeking consensus from people who are not qualified to advise you. You stop explaining decisions to people who are not affected by the consequences. You gather the information you need, weigh the relevant factors, and move forward with confidence. If the decision proves incorrect, you adjust course without drama or self-recrimination. This decisive approach attracts people who are tired of endless deliberation and committee thinking. They begin to see you as someone who can cut through complexity and produce results. You develop an almost supernatural ability to remain calm in chaotic situations. While others panic, you observe. While others react emotionally, you think strategically. While others make hasty decisions based on fear, you maintain clarity and perspective. This composure becomes one of your most valuable assets because it allows you to see opportunities that others miss when they are operating from a state of emotional reactivity. People begin to rely on your judgment precisely because you do not let circumstances overwhelm your cognitive abilities. You become the person others turn to when they need stability in unstable times. The transformation reaches its peak when you realize that you no longer need external validation to confirm your worth. You have developed internal metrics for success that are not dependent on other people's opinions or approval. You measure yourself against your own standards rather than comparing yourself to others. You find satisfaction in progress rather than perfection. You derive confidence from competence rather than compliments. This internal validation system makes you essentially immune to manipulation attempts based on flattery or criticism. People cannot control you through praise or punishment because you have become your own source of worthiness assessment. Your presence begins to affect rooms before you even speak. People sense that you operate by different rules. They recognize that you are not impressed by the same things that impress others. They understand that you cannot be bought, manipulated, or intimidated through conventional means. This creates a subtle but unmistakable shift in how others interact with you. They become more respectful, more careful, more genuine. Not because they fear you, but because they recognize that pretense and manipulation will not work. You have become someone who must be dealt with honestly or not at all. You realize that true power is not about controlling others.
It is about being uncontrollable yourself.
When someone cannot predict your reactions, they cannot manipulate your responses. When someone cannot access your emotional triggers, they cannot destabilize your decision-making. When someone cannot determine your motivations, they cannot counter your strategies effectively. You become like water, adapting to circumstances while maintaining your essential nature. This adaptability combined with unpredictability makes you a formidable presence in any environment. The final stage of shadow intelligence development involves understanding that the game is never really over. There is always another level of sophistication to achieve, another pattern to recognize, another strategy to refine. You become a lifelong student of human nature, power dynamics, and strategic thinking. But unlike academic learning, this education serves immediate practical purposes. Every insight can be applied. Every lesson has real-world value. Every skill contributes to your overall effectiveness in navigating complex social and professional environments.